Hi, I'm Ernie Medina with TRB, and today I'm joined with TRB instructor Brendan Arbelon. And today we're here to talk to you a little bit about the 5 upgrades that you want to do to your AR-15 to make it better employable for personal defense and home defense. Now, one of the first things that you're going to want to do with your AR-15 is throw an optic or red dot on it, okay? Ditch the iron sights, even though, for us boomers out there, they are, part of the past, and we've all been taught with iron sights, and they're still cool, and you can still use them. Yes, you can. However, for rapid employment, for ease of use, get a red dot on there, so that way that you can actually employ this thing quickly and easily. And if you are an iron sight junkie, going over to that red dot will feel like it's cheating, making it even easier for you to shoot. So one of the things you might want to put on there is a red dot. Now, I'm featuring here the EOTech 512. All right, so it's a holographic sight. I have a red dot in the center with a BDS bullet drop compensator ring around it. So this is a really, really good optic. I mean, you can beat it to heck, and it's going to work. So really good there. Now, the reason why I have the 512 with the double A's, because that's what this box is because I can just snap on double A's to this thing. I don't need a CR123 or anything like that, which are a little bit more expensive and harder to find, so to speak. But a double A, they're more common and cheaper, and they last just as bit. 512 on here, EOTech. But Brendan, what do you have on your AR?
Mine, I have like a Vortex Spark Solar, great optic. The biggest reason I run this specific optic is the battery life on it. Mm-hmm. Right? Yes, it is a little harder to find. I think what's the battery in this one? CR, it's a CR 2032, yeah, something 2032. Like that. They're a little harder to find. You still could find them at a Walmart. But the thing is that it's advertised at 150,000 hours of operating life, which is, how much is that? Close to like what?
It's probably close to about...
like 8 years, no?
Yeah.
Probably more than that.
I'll tell you in a moment.
Because 50,000 is about like 5 years around that time frame.
50,000, so hold on a second. We're just trying to do math in our heads, and math in public is never good, okay? So basically a long time.
Yeah, so it's really, really great. Now, obviously I'm not expecting it to last 150,000 hours because the battery is probably gonna go out before then. But not the power on it, but just the structure of the battery. But with that in mind, having 50,000 or 150,000 hours of battery life, that means I get to pick up this firearm. The dot's always on. I do replace them every Christmas just to make sure that the battery is good to go. So yeah, that's what I use.
Cool. So just a couple optics that you might want to run on there. Trust me, there's plenty of optics that are out there. You can get a decent one for a couple $100, typically a Vortex, but you can also drop some serious coin on an optic well north of $1,000, $1,500, even $2,000 on an optic. But depending on where you at in your AR game, if you're just getting into it, something simple in the $200 to $400 range is perfectly fine. Couple ones that come to mind is the Vortex Striker. That's on the lower end for about $200. Not a bad optic to put on there. On the kind of one step up, I would say is the Aimpoint Patrol optic. That's a really good one to throw on there. It costs you about $400, but it's an Aimpoint, and Aimpoint has really, really strong optic game. So a couple things to consider there. What about the next upgrade? What would you say is the next upgrade that you want to do with your AR?
First thing, the next thing I would upgrade second is the flashlight, right?
Weapon-mounted light.
Weapon-mounted light is important. Yes, you can upgrade your, obviously if you don't have any optic or if you don't have no way to aim, then you're not going to be able to hit anything anyway. But after the optic, the second thing should be flashlight, right? Because 90% of the time, or actually almost close to 99% of the time that you're going to be using your rifle or any firearm in general in the civilian context is probably at night. Right, at night, and the one thing you don't want is not being able to identify that target. It's not about seeing that target, because you're never in a no light environment, right? You're almost always going to be in a low light environment to where you could kind of see somebody, but you don't know who it is, right? You don't know their hands, you don't see what gun what type of thing or item is in their hands. Therefore, if you shoot somebody, you're taking a lot of risk there, not knowing what they have. I run my light a little differently than Ernie. This is a Surefire, I believe M340. Good light, dual fuel, right? I always run dual fuel. That means there's 2 batteries inside this thing right here. It allows me to have better battery life. Because like I said, this gun is my home defense and training gun, so I don't really, I mean, I carry extra batteries, but not as much, right? Because CR123s are hard to find. The one thing that's different here is the way I activate my light. Since this is an AR pistol, right? AR pistol. I can get away with having the light kind of close to where my firing hand is at. So therefore, I can kind of activate this light with my thumb, either on my left or right hand. Some people don't like that. I'm kind of testing that out right now. But yes, the second upgrade should be your light, because yes, you can aim, but if you can't see or you don't know who you're shooting at, it'd still be a risk. So what about you, Ernie?
Well, I agree. The second thing you're going to want to upgrade is the weapon-mounted light. I'm running. I typically run one of 2 things, and they're kind of in the same category. But I run in this one the Surefire Scout. This is the 1500 lumen. Really great light to have. Unlike Brendan, I run mine with the tape switch up top. So as I grip the rifle, when I want to engage that light, all I have to do is press with my thumb. I engage the light and depress, and it comes off. So that's my personal preference. In fact, a lot of folks run it with the tape switch. So you can just do just that. But I would certainly agree that this is the second upgrade that you're going to want to do to your rifle when you get your AR. So let's move on to the third upgrade. So the third upgrade, I would say, is the QD mount on the end plate. Now, I'm being particular about it because we see this a lot, okay? And that is, we see mounting points for the sling over here at the ends of the stock, okay? Or somewhere along the stock, but largely, sometimes even on this little slit right here, we see it all the time with students. Unknowingly, they'll go ahead and mount it right here. That's not bad if you're running a 2-point or something like that, but what you'll find is when it comes to, say, matters of CQB, this thing is going to get in your way big time. I also see the other mounting point, which is the QD, is instead of being close to the back end of the handguard, I see it all the way forward on the handguard. So now you have the 2 points on the ends. Okay, so the upgrade I would tell you to do, if you do not have an integrated QD mount on your handguard, then get one to put on the base end of the handguards here. But if you can, get a QD end plate for your AR. So now your mounting point will be right here, as well as close to the front end. So now you're getting the closest with which you can mount that sling to your rifle and really manipulate it with ease, both in 2-point or single-point configuration. But Brendan, why don't you talk a little bit more about the sling since you have yours in front?
Yeah, it's important because, like in the Marine Corps, we used to run, or we still do run the slings all the way separate away from each other, right? Like this right here. Now, it's not bad if you're just on a patrol, like on a long patrol. It's not bad because you're going to be walking. It's actually, this is the best, most comfortable spot I've found the sling. But the problem is once you start getting into manipulating your rifle, let's say you find yourself in a room, right, or clearing a building. If you want the 2-point sling to be functional in that regards, you want them as close to each other as possible, right? So you want the QD end plate on the back right here, and then you want it like toward Ernie in the front so that the slings are kind of closer. So you can still tighten up the sling around your body, but when you necklace the sling, right, when you put it around your neck, you kind of create somewhat of a 1-point sling.
It's essentially it's mimicking the 1 point.
It's mimicking a 1-point sling, and therefore allowing you to be more maneuverable in CQB environment, which is great because now you have pretty much almost a 1-point sling, and all you got to do is just sling or swim into your sling the moment you go out and patrol, a wider area again. Because on open distances, 2-point sling is definitely a better sling if you want to take accurate shots standing up, because you can tighten up that sling. But since the sling is extremely tight, once you're in a room environment, that 2-point sling shouldered across your body, no matter how much you loosen it with the little tab right here, it's just not going to be as loose as if you were to necklace the sling. So
and mimic that one point.
Mimic that 1 point. So get the 2 sling points as close to each other as possible. For me, I like it to pretty much where the rail starts right here on the upper receiver, and then at the lower receiver would be the end plate. So that's the third upgrade that we have.
Yep, so third upgrade, getting essentially the sling points closer together. That QD end plate is going to be a game changer for all the things that Brendan just mentioned. The fourth upgrade that I would say is the ambidextrous charging handle. Yes. Okay, so the reason why I say that, not just because I am left-handed, but because if you're running CQB, which is home defense and things like that, and I have to go from one side over to the other and shoot with my offhand, I still want to be able to rack the charging handle or manipulate the charging handle, whether it be this side or over this side. I still have access to that charging handle with my support hand. If I'm running that traditional charging handle as a righty, okay, here, I would be able to get it with my support hand because that notch is over on this side. Now, as a lefty, and I'm running main hand, I don't have it on this side. I'd have to come up and over. I'd have to take the rifle out of its fighting mode in order to do that. It takes a little bit more time. So whether you're running primary hand or offhand, you will have the ability to rack that charging handle with your support hand. Okay? So that would be the fourth upgrade that I would choose. Any points on that?
Yeah, just another thing too, the standard, what do you call that? Charging handle on the AR-15 is not really great anyway. So just upgrading to ambidextrous one just like elevates the way you can rack that slide. And we're not talking about loading the slide, by the way. It's always going to be during your failures, right? If you have a double feed, it's going to be a nightmare trying to clear that left-handed with a non-ambidextrous charging handle. And even if you're right-handed, right, and you find yourself in a position to where you're in a dedicated left-handed position right here, you're gonna hate it when you have a double feed and now you gotta transition back to your regular position to clear it. Because the one thing about rifles is that I need to be able to fight with this rifle, whether I'm left-handed or right-handed, either by choice or because of circumstances in which my left or right hand is hit. You know, you see a lot of drills out there in which, you know, you disable this left hand and you got to manipulate the rifle or pistol with your left hand only, or for him, your right hand. So that's something you got to consider, because a lot, you know, and when it comes to CQB or fighting in general, you're never going to find yourself on the right side of a cover all the time, right?
You don't get to choose which side.
So sometimes you may have to shoot from the left side of cover, therefore you got to use your left hand. So, and guess what? Murphy's Law, the one time you use your left hand is the one time you're going to jam it. Or actually, here's a realistic scenario, right? A lot of the times I see a lot of students or law enforcement or military mess it up is when they're shouldering up here, right? They do a CQB compress. When they do this, or the plate gear kind of gets in the way, a lot of people have that little admin patch right here. Really fast. I go against that, because once you're on the left hand and you bring this up and you shoot, the admin patch actually creates a double feed because it traps the what do you call that? It traps the casing in there, which happened to me. And oh man, it was a nightmare trying to clear a double feed left-handed with a standard M4 from the Marine Corps, right? So that's when I started, you know, obviously this was not authorized, but who cares, right? I'm out now. I just threw this specific one, actually just threw it into my duty rifle at the time, and nobody knew because nobody was looking for it. So
exactly, and this is just an example of the original parts of the rifle having been invented well over 40, 50 years ago. Okay. And now with the evolution of our training, our fundamentals, our manipulations, that would be an upgrade that would keep up with the ever-changing and evolving manipulations and techniques. So if the AR were to be invented today, I would almost bet that an ambidextrous charging handle would be a stock part. The last upgrade of the 5 that I would mention is the ambidextrous safety selector switch. Okay, so as you can see, I'm running an ambi selector switch on this rifle, as well as Brendan's running it on his AR. and why, right? If we are generally right-handed, we have that safety selector switch here. We can take it on, we can take it off, and things like that, okay? Now, for me, being lefty, and when I was in the Marine Corps, we didn't have ambidextrous selector switches, so I had to come over with my thumb and then come back over, and disengage it with my trigger finger. That was just the way of life, so to speak, for me. But now with a ambi, I can actually engage and disengage this very easily with my thumb. The reason why even now as a lefty I want an ambidextrous safety selector switch, and lefty-righty doesn't matter, is that now I come over to my opposite side, I can then engage this or disengage the safety with my thumb just like I should. That way I'm keeping the same techniques. I don't have to go thumb back over or anything like that. So having that ambidextrous safety selector switch is great. Now, a couple things to consider. They have a 45 and 90 degree throw on them. So what that means is that to disengage the safety and allow this rifle to work, I have a 45 degree throw. The selector switch will not rotate 90 degrees to a vertical position. It'll go about 45 degrees and it'll still be functional. And then I just re-engage it that way. For some folks, they have a full 90 degree where this will be all the way down. It really is your preference, okay? For me, I prefer the 45. It's easy to engage, disengage, just a lot quicker, but that's a personal preference. But ambidextrous safety selector switch is the way to go as far as the 5th upgrade. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, even if you're a right-handed shooter, and so let's say we're talking about here, if you're clearing a hallway, right, with somebody else. If Ernie was on my left side right here and we're clearing a hallway, and let's say it's a school, right? We're clearing a school and it's all the way down there, or a building, and all the rooms that have to clear are on my right side. It would be disadvantageous for you to start clearing the room this way. So you got to dedicate yourself, switch over your hand, and start clearing the rooms with your left hand, you know, which is a really realistic scenario that a lot of people find themselves, but they don't train. And from here, all of a sudden, oh crap, now I don't have a means to efficiently deactivate my safety unless you run around clearing rooms with your safety off, which you shouldn't do anyway. If you don't have a ambidextrous safety, now you see a target, now you're gonna have to break your firing hand, and then before you can shoot, which is a really bad delay when you're doing CQB, especially when you're pieing a room. So like I said, it's the rifle. Modern AR-15 it's supposed to be ambidextrous because of the modern manipulations that we're doing, right? We're not shooting Rambo hip nowadays or focusing on automatic or volume of fire as we're clearing a room. We're being more and more deliberate, right? So like I said, if you're clearing a hallway and let's say you're in your house, right? And all the rooms are on your right side and you're going down that hallway and you're a right-handed shooter, you better be good at shooting your left hand, because clearing rooms on the right with your right hand is not really great. So that's one thing that I see, because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm right-handed, why do I need ambi? Well, because you'll find yourself shooting with your left hand and then now you're screwed. Yep. So
those are some considerations, upgrades, basic upgrades that we would recommend right out of the gate. Now surely with the AR-15, there's thousands of mods that you can do to it, some of which is overkill, actually a lot of which is overkill, but they all boil down to personal preference. But those are just the 5 upgrades that we recommend just to get your AR in good functioning order, so that way you can be most effective in a personal defense situation. So other things that you can consider, from grips to stocks and all that other stuff, that again is personal preference. So these are just some things to think about.